Welcome everybody. This is Dean Bell with Dean Kevin, Jeremy, and Ryan. And today we're going to be discussing the environment and becoming more aware. And really it's about agreement, how this planet, the direction it takes with destroying it or offsetting what's going on with the destruction of it. So we're here to just help people to understand and to see more of better choices they could make. And maybe Jeremy, I'll start this off with, I wanted to kind of share something I found, which is called permaculture, which is a system to help basically work with nature instead of against it. And maybe you can play that clip to start us off. This is Jeff Lofton. He's one of the main permaculture fellows in the world.
This is the wow factor in permaculture. This is the glue that puts it together, that sticks it together, that we all inherently understand. It comes from our ancestral knowledge of survival. We all have it. And we can all make links to it. This is a subject that is not taught in any other system. And this is a subject that would probably be excluded by most academics. Permaculture is about patterning of design. In patterning, we use multiple functions, multiple elements, and we emphasize their connections. So it's multi-dimensional. That's design. Above that, there's another level terrace dividing the water, and above that, there's a circular footpath around a palm circle, like the banana circle, but a productive palm circle. We'll go up and have a look at that too. And that soaks into zone 3. This is a matter of just stacking natural functions through zones, making connections between elements that most people wouldn't see connections for. A road, to a dam, to a productive diverse forest, to a nutrient flow, to a small pasture. Simple connections make all the productivity easier. This is zone planning, this is design function. This makes life, productivity, healthy systems easier to achieve. Design planning. And community forestry can produce forests forever for the community, and there's no reason why we can't all have free materials to build our own houses forever. And this swell will fill and backflood to the dam, and the dam, when it's full, will then backflood up these two swells. This is the future of our supply lines. Permaculture, a system that respects life in all its forms, so that it makes the world a better place for all living things. Here is the form, here is the classroom, here is the teacher. This is the system that has survived for millennia and will continue to survive. This is the diversity, nature's university.
It just gives you an idea of what's out there. One of the things that's out there for people to study, and this fellow Jeff Lofton even goes around to, he goes around all over the world teaching even indigenous people, which is interesting. You think indigenous people would know this, and for instance, the people in Africa who are, really starving, they're in poverty, they're not, they're in an environment that's really harsh, but he comes in there and teaches them how to create a sustainable environment, just with a few design principles. And yeah, he does bring in basically the education of how to work with the environment and better it for the people that are indigenous and are living off the land. And sometimes it just needs a few tweaks. You know, you need a few tweaks on how to obtain water or how to plant your crops. And it's just a matter of a little bit of knowledge that maybe has been lost, and then you can live naturally with the environment and not destroy it like what's going on right now. Of course, we're so far away from living with nature that it's hard for people to get back there. But this is for instance, this is a system that's very user-friendly. You can do it in your own backyard to start with. It has the zone concept where outside your back door, you know, you have your herb garden, some of the main vegetables you use. And then going further, zone 2 would be maybe your chickens, if you want eggs, and zone 3, maybe your orchard, and then zone 4 would be your wild crafting, where you just let things go. I mean, that's an optimal kind of system, but depending on how much land you have to work with. But basically, it's the zone concept where you make things easy for yourself. You set things up initially to make it easy for yourself and self-sustainable. So after maybe 3 or 4 years, the system takes care of itself. The environment is self-sustaining. And that's what's what the purpose here with permaculture. So it's low maintenance, self-sustaining, food production, materials for shelter, for building, clothing. You've got the animal products, and it's all neat and tidy, you know, according to your environment. And this can be done in any environment, even in, you can work with anything. They say the tagline is the problem is a solution. So you can turn the problem into the solution if you work creatively with it. So that's just one thing I wanted to share with you all, that there's things like this out there. That's a good one. Permaculture is a good one. It's all over the world. And like I say, you can start in your own backyard, get a book, watch some YouTube videos, and start yourself to be on the road to self-sustaining in the physical. And of course, we go beyond that too, but got to start with the environment: clean air, clean food, clean water. So, okay, what else have you found, you guys? What's been going on environmentally with you this week?
Well, I did come across quite an inspirational YouTube video, and although I won't be sharing it here, I wrote some notes about what the video was about. It's only very brief, you know, taking about 8 minutes to relay this. Yeah, this particular video was all about the restoration of trees, and the individual was his base is where he's a Scottish individual, and his video, and he was basically done a very long project which is restoring the ancient Caledonian forests. And I might even try and contact him and perhaps bring him on a future show. So this was actually a video taken from one of the TED Talks off of YouTube, and so he seems quite content to come on whatever platforms he can and share his projects and what he's doing. So perhaps I'll try and get hold of him and bring him on the show. But anyway, restoring ancient Caledonian forests with Alan Watson Featherstone. One of the reasons why the natural environment is so desolated is because we are actively preventing it from restoring itself. We do this by maintaining artificially high numbers of large herbivores on the land, with Scotland as the example from the video. This was sourced from red deer and sheep. These animals graze everything down to a few centimeters in height, Every tree seedling that has germinated from the past 200 years in unprotected areas has been eaten. What happens then? Is the trees reach the end of their lifespans and die with no new ones to take their place? Experimental work has been done to reduce the grazing pressure, putting up fences to keep deer out, and the trees would begin to emerge. No planting was necessary. They were self-grown from the older trees. Once big enough, the fence can be removed, as they are safe from being eaten. The trees then continue to produce seedlings, and the process of recovery of forests can accelerate. This is a natural regeneration. That is the option, but only works if you have a seed source nearby. Many of the devastated forests are bereft of trees, so there are no seeds. It becomes necessary then to plant trees. The idea is to mimic nature by planting where we know the trees will grow, avoiding straight lines, and plant instead in groups and clusters. With forest recovery, it's not just the trees that grow, but everything comes back: shrubs, heather, etc. Amazingly, some species start to grow, even though the nearest source of them can be miles away. Bluebells were the example given in the video. The nearest source were 20 miles away. How they got there was a mystery, but nature responds to care, and seeming miracles can take place. Once the vegetation grows, we get the return of lots of other life: insects, caterpillars, beetles, and other winged insects. They feed on the vegetation, and they in turn attract birds. The birds bring seed in their gut from berries they have eaten, which germinate, and the whole process gathers momentum. Ecological restoration is a natural process that we simply are interfering with, whereas we should be assisting and speeding it up. Certain larger species that are beneficial for the environment, despite their large numbers, can return or be introduced. Beavers, for example, create ponds which are good habitats for frogs, insects, which attract birds and animals like the otter. Wild boar can root around in the soil, disturbing it, and create perfect nursery beds for the germination of tree seedlings. Many species accompany each other. Boars tend to attract robins, which look for grubs and worms in the soil that the boars disturb. When we put one piece back in the web of life, other pieces re-establish themselves, and the connections come together again. So the next step would be to return more of the species that have been missing for the longest time. Fragmented forests are not suitable for supporting species such as red squirrels. As many trees are separated by vast distances that squirrels can't cross, so assisting the movement of squirrels is a necessity. Squirrels, of course, distribute seeds from pine cones and acorns from oak trees. and help the forest expand. Bringing back the large predators would be the next step. The lynx, the most feasible option in Scotland. The predators fulfill a crucial role in regulating ecosystems, and if they are removed, you have the ecosystem unraveling and collapsing, but everything can reassemble when they return. Overall, then, we start with areas of strength, where there are best conditions, using a key species of trees. You mimic nature where possible. You recreate ecological niches where they have been lost, like dead wood in the forest, and remove non-native species, particularly invasive ones like giant hogweed. You focus on species that have limited ability to disperse by themselves. You assist with some of the absent processes, like nutrient cycling, natural disturbance, and predator-prey dynamics, all essential for the healthy functioning of ecosystems. You let nature do most of the work, because restoration and recovery is a natural process, and we simply help it on its way. This needs to happen at a local level and on a global level too, as our world is in need of a restoration.
That's very, very good. Yeah, because just sometimes it needs a rest. Nature needs a rest, and then if you're educated, you can into what species to introduce or what animals, insects to introduce, you can kickstart the process, and then it can go. Nature will take care of itself after a while, and that's what our university is about, to help people, to educate them on real survival, which would be to understand nature and how nature works, and how we can support it, not destroy it. And it's very simple, actually, just getting people together that know this and that, and then start these projects that make sense with the environment, each locally, according to the environment they're in. This I know some of the places in the earth, like Ethiopia, some of the deserts in Africa, they're very salty because they used to be oceans, so nothing actually grows there. So introducing soils, composting, insects, microorganisms, species, again, drilling for primary water. It's all like it's possible. You just have to have the right setup and education, and then agreement to make it work. That was very good. Yeah, see if you can get that guy on here. Be good.
I'd like to comment real quick on this talk of permaculture. It's actually becoming very important to look at ways that you can be self-sufficient with food production, because no one's really talking about it. There's like grain shortages globally, so a lot of countries are hurting, and we're not exporting. It's just very tight right now, and they're pushing for GMO foods, so that way all we eat is GMOs, because that's more productive and this and that. So it's very important, goes along with the permaculture, to have this self-sufficiency, because you can't rely on, I guess you could say, them to bring you your grain in times of need.
Yeah, look at your valley there, the San Joaquin Valley. What is it, about like 800 miles long, 400 miles wide, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge agricultural area that you're in, and they're in Modesto, Jeremy, where a lot of the United States food comes from. And that could be redone, because they're basically depleting the soil by their practices. Most of them are traditional practices. They're not organic they're still spraying pesticides and applying fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, because the soil is so depleted, they have to keep that up. Introducing permaculture principles, or, to those people that are willing to go that route, it takes a while to get set up, but after that, you're on your way, and you can even use it for retail to sell it, your surplus. And do you see anything there in the valley? Like, are you close to any agriculture? Any goings on there?
Yes, if you go 5 minutes from my house, everything is farms.
Okay, what are they growing down there?
It's a lot of corn, a lot of almond trees, and that's pretty much it. It's like corn and almonds and cows.
I remember almonds. Yeah, big almond. And what kind of corn is it? GMO?
Well, I would say so. 85%
Yeah.
of the corn that comes out of the US is GMO.
Yeah, most likely. I saw when I used to drive there every week up and down Highway 5. A lot of the grape, there's vineyards too. A lot of them were being plowed over. What's going on with that? Are they they're running out of money or water, or what? Why are they closing down?
As far as I've seen, when I've been driving up and down, I see the vineyards and they look fine to me, but I did learn but speaking in terms of what you're talking about, I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything being bulldozed. Just they all seem to be operational, but I learned that because when you pass by the almond orchards and the grapevines, you see them spraying them. They have the tractors, and they have these big old ball jugs, and they have like these two dispensers, and they just spray, and you drive right past them while they're spraying right there. But I learned that it's not necessarily the people living on the land, it's more so the people who own the acres. I didn't know that they did that they just have people live on the land and sort of just kind of be like the people there, as opposed to the people who own the actual acreage for the production. They are the ones who are spraying and all this. So it's big corporations, because here in Modesto, we have Blue Diamond just over there, which is that big almond production.
Now, isn't it pistachios getting big too there? Pistachio trees?
Not that I see. I still see a lot of the almonds.
And there's orange trees, orange citrus groves. I see those. Yeah. They're even bulldozing almond trees in some areas. So I wonder how's the water? I know they're having a water shortage there, supposedly, from the groundwater. Do you know what's going on with that?
No, I don't. But I see it when I go around. I see it. Some of the fields that they used to have plenty of the almond trees, they're just barren. They're empty. Like that's what they do. They plant the trees, they grow them up to a certain point, and they just rip them out. But then they replant them. But some of them they don't replant. So I think there's still a little bit of a water struggle going on.
Yeah, this one fella, well, Paul Power, the primary water wizard, one of his associates figured how many primary water wells it would take to irrigate California, and it didn't take that many, really. They're placed appropriately. You could tap into those and have unlimited amount of water for everybody if you use the primary water, which is the pure water that's constantly being made, continually. It's not the aquifers, it's a different source, but it's beneath the ground there. So Tim, I know what you can do a ag report here from Grants Pass, Oregon. What's going on there?
Well, everything's growing like crazy up here. It's got enough moisture, even though they call it a drought. Quite a big area of Northern California and Eastern Oregon didn't get its normal amount of moisture, but here in the Rogue Valley, it's still, everything's pretty lush and thriving.
And the main crop is like hemp or marijuana? What do you grow
Yeah,
there?
that's the Rogue Valley and the Illinois Valley here has the climate for the stuff, and it's the main big farm and crop right now. Everybody, when you go out in the valleys, there's giant greenhouses for it all over because they made certain laws and stuff to, but yeah, there's a lot of farming going on, and here we have plentiful water to work with. Most of the area, except for out in Sam's Valley in Jackson County, has not the good water supply like the Illinois and the Applegate and the Rogue. But yeah, it's interesting. People, they do show signs of really enjoying being farmers and growing, and they make their profit. They've legalized quite a bit of stuff. You have to get licenses to make the state happy, but it's pretty massive. The opportunity, many people are moving into Oregon, especially Southern Oregon, because of the change in the marijuana laws and here in Oregon. And so that it's very beneficial in the business world for all the products that are being put out for it, the irrigation supplies and the fertile, whatever they call it, the mixtures of the soils that they use. And then there's all kinds of different products that they sell to enhance, make the plants grow better. So in some ways, it's developing real good for a lot of people to be able to be growing things, even if it's just marijuana or the hemp. That it gets people at least into being able to learn how to take care of plants and help them grow, so that it wouldn't be that much difference to be growing good food. I do see on this technology stuff that there's some company that has the good seed still left for sale. It's being offered, not GMO stuff. Pretty massive batch of seed that they have, that's the organic or the natural seed for the fruits or the vegetables. But yes, it's things are growing very well here in Southwest Oregon. It doesn't seem to have too much of a effect here on the vegetation from all the chemtrails or whatever else is being put in our air. And I guess it's just too small of an area for, compared to like the San Joaquin or something where the big companies have all that or the fertilizers that are petroleum based or whatever they are to put into the ground to make the GMO plants grow. But our health looks real good here in Southwest Oregon. The vegetation is thriving naturally.
Mm-hmm. Good, Tim. Thank you for the report there from Grants Pass, Oregon. Do you grow hemp there too? Is hemp a product? Is there an industry there for that?
Yeah, they tried the hemp farming, and because it was the one that I guess you'd call it less expensive to get licensing for, and then they, would try to grow the marijuana, the cannabis stuff, and get away with it because there's not a lot of inspection now anymore. I do see that Jackson County is going to use the sheriff department, or they're threatening to, with the money that they get from the taxes from the marijuana, which has been a lot of income for the county and the state. But they tried, they had a bad season. A lot of them started late. Their plants didn't get very big. They got hit in their bud stage with too much moisture came in that year, which was 2 years ago, I think, or 3, somewhere near. And the bud got bud rot, and so the quality wasn't good for the CBD oils and all the things that they do with the hemp. It was a very bad start for the hemp farmers here. It just was a year. And so a lot of them gave up that idea of growing the natural hemp because their plants didn't grow big, and they got hit with the wrong kind of weather at the wrong time for the hemp crop. So pretty much now they cover it. They use the big greenhouses and all that because they had invested a lot of money, but a lot of them don't try the hemp as much anymore. It's mainly the trying to get away with the cannabis to provide for the cities and the states that don't have it legalized yet. There's still a market. They get, like, now it's way down in the price compared to years ago. It's like $750 for a pound of it. 16 ounces is seems to be what the going price is for the cannabis. It used to be $4,000 a pound before they legalized it, but so many people are growing it, they have competition selling it, so it's way down compared to years ago. But still, the opportunity when they grow a lot of it, 100 pounds, it's still giving them like 65,000 per 100 pounds, which takes some plants can grow 20 pounds when they have that micro rhizome stuff and the additives they give it, and the soil and water. So there's still, it seems to be a lot of people making a lot of money at growing here in Southwest Oregon. But as far as the hemp, that's it doesn't seem to be the important crop. Those that tried it in a good grand scale had a bad year, and so they kind of gave that idea up and tried to get the $50,000 license for growing what's called recreational, and then they have to deal with the state, and it's all monitored with cameras and their sales to the outlets, which there's quite a few around now that sell it in the cities, the towns, legally. You have to be 21 years old. But it is letting a lot of people become farmers of growing plants.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, I mean, there's an example of how you can make an income, and you're not really destroying the environment. They're using the best, they want the best products, so they're using good, natural fertilizers, a lot of them. So there's ways to do this, and it just right now it looks like a struggle, but eventually, if we get in tune with nature, we can even talk to the animals, we can talk to the plants, and even communicate with them and see what they need instead of like putting stuff on them that they don't want. We can work together. More in an ideal world. There's also all these fields like in San Joaquin Valley, though, they think they need all that room to grow, but if we utilize the parking strips, the highway strips, and there's all kinds of land available, even in the cities, not so much anymore, but even in the cities, there's lots, there's places you could grow food. So we had a different mindset. I mean, food could be everywhere on the planet, and people could locally have enough for themselves, you know, if it was arranged in a different way than it is now. There's different ways we could do things that make more sense. Transporting food, you know, from South America to Canada, I mean, that's a lot of fuel and energy and all that. You know, just grow what's locally works, and you could have the protein and everything that you need, basically, if you were educated in how to do it, the community work together. So let's go on to anybody else would like to share today. Maybe a report from your area, like what's going on in your environmentally in your area, or if you have anybody you saw that's doing something good in the world, planting trees or such things like that. How about Ryan? What environmentally, what's going on there with you?
My environment, my city is very strange, because we have after every 3 days we have raining in the summer. It's so cool for me because I like the rain. And about my something in people in this my country always think about environment for farming or garden, and always they use some chemical some chemicals for trees to have and go better, and the trees go better and do more fruit or vegetable, and protect from the other animal like a rat, like birds. But I think about in the past, past when people farming or you work in their garden, how to protect the garden or farmer about rats or animal to not eat and vegetarian or fruit. And in the past, the fruits and vegetables were very big and delicious, but today more and like the plastic and not any juicy for me. I think about this for what now. What am I doing for the farming to have a real way to protect the garden or farming about the animal. One day my friends told me about something when you kill some animal, the other friends want to punish you, and some mad you for killing. If you change your energy and do nothing, your energy told the animal and get away and go something friendly between you and this animal. I think when change the energy of area of the garden or farming, and after a few time the animal do understand and do something better for environment and for humans to have a protected works. And after that, we don't need some chemicals or some GMO to protect our working.
Ryan, if you share the shipping costs, we have like 20 cats we can ship you to get rid of those rats over there. There's always predators, introduce a predator, and sometimes that works. Where do you all grow there, where you're at?
We have some garden, and my parents have a few, two small gardens. We grow some trees like orange, like a few vegetables or fruits, and we grow in our gardens. And my father very like work in a garden, and he always put a tree on growing up or mix the tree together and take a new tree.
You're in Mediterranean climate, I believe, right? You have orange trees, avocados too.
Orange avocados, no, like that. We have an orange, maybe some almond and date palm. We grow up in pistachios, bananas. We grow in our garden.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you.
The indigenous people have, they've lived the land, they know the land, but still there's more. They could even have more. With more awareness, you could have a situation where it's even, you could say, better, or everybody's more aware, including the plants and animals, and you could all work together. So there's so much potential here with the environment on this planet. We still have a green planet here. It's being destroyed, but we can, with the agreement, do something to offset the destruction and do something better for ourselves. So that's why we're broadcasting this show here. And if anybody today has anybody they want to bring in, like Kevin, go ahead and invite them in for an interview. Anybody that's doing something good for the planet, bring them in, and we can have a discussion. So again, thank you everybody for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Did you want to sing the NUUU to sign off?
NUUU. Kevin.
You.
Jeremy.
NUUU.
Tim.
NUUU.
Ryan.
NUUU.
Okay, everybody, go out and plant a tree. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.